Hi there, Michael Palladini here, aka MacGyver. Giving you an update on the 2002 Ford Explorer here. We're fixing to get ready and crank it up and wrap this job up. I've got the special tools that I need to do the job. I thought I'd show you guys that. Some gearheads would appreciate the intricacy of this job, and I'll be taking little snippets of video as I go here and let you guys see what we're doing. So I'm going to take the camera off the tripod and get it over here and show you this special tool. It's a piece of work. Now, the special tools that are listed in most of your manuals are either listed as like a Rotunda brand toolkit or OTC 6448. Geez, why do I remember that number? Anyway, however, many thanks to the service manager at the local Ford dealer. He was nice enough to loan me this tool. And what this is Service Essentials tool set, and it has practically everything that is needed to work on one of these Explorers. They've got the tool for doing the axle seals. This is part of the timing set, or lifting handle set. Okay, so I'm not sure what that's for. That's for the fuel tank and traction lock clutch gauge. So that's if you got the limited slip differential. That's one of the tools that you would need if you were to work on that. And there's for the rear crank seal on the motor. And the converter seal, that's for the transmission. Output shaft needle bearing replacer. And a servo removal tool. That's another transmission tool. And I'll just kind of scan over all the things that this thing will does. There's another part of the timing part, the timing set there, and there. These are all part of the timing. Now that, I'm not sure what that is. And there's a crankshaft holding tool. That holds the crankshaft for the timing set. And Ford, instead of having to pin out connectors and stuff, they have the special tool that plugs into the harness and breaks out all the pins. So you have the different overlays that tell you what each pin is. And there's a pulley replacer tool and a rear crankshaft seal remover. And that is a special one, valve spring compressor, because when you set the timing up on the motor, you have to take all the roller rockers out. So very interesting. And as we open it up, then these are all the tools. And it's a two-layer box, so you have all the rest of your stuff in there. And as we go along, you'll see me using these tools and having them in place, and they are absolutely a requirement. So, and one other thing, if you're going to be working on these, Ford Explorer engine uses a what they call an external Torx. And I'm going to go over here real quick to the engine and show you. I have this bolt right here, which in an earlier video I said came with a tool, but apparently I was mistaken. It does not come with the socket to get that off, and it's just a standard external Torx bolt. And your generic external Torx set, like I would have, goes up to exactly one size too small, and you have to go and buy a particular set that has the one with the very big one in it. So that was 43 bucks I wasn't expecting on spending. And if you're going to work on one of these, put those cams back in, I would highly recommend Red Thread Locker. If you'll recall, I showed you that bolt that fell out of the front of the block, that the bolt that fell out of the front of the block on the tensioner, and the tensioner fell down in the motor and got all eat up. That'll prevent that from happening again. So, and one other tool, or not a tool, but a part that does not come with the timing set that I showed you in the previous video is that little cover. And it looks like a regular seal, only it's completely covers the back of the block. And I'll show you again, for those maybe who missed the video, that's this right here. Because you have to take that out to get to the bolt that holds the bottom gear on for that. So I told you in a previous video that I needed to get the tool set before I pulled the old chains out of the block. Now what has to happen is this bolt has to come off before you can get the front timing chain off, and to get to the inner gear in there that has the chain for this front cassette and so forth, to get everything out of the back. Now, I was mistaken in that, because really what I needed was the larger Torx, inverted Torx socket, which is that right there, which goes on this here. Now, there should be I assume that there would be a camshaft or a shaft holding tool for this. There is not one in that toolkit. So now, I could have made a tool real quick to hold the cam, but honestly it was quicker just to take the impact and whiz it off, because the inverted Torx that is this big comes in 1/2 inch drive, and you can get away with using the impact to buzz it off real quick. And now I had put this on here temporarily because I thought I was going to need it, but I don't, so I'm going to take that back off for the time being while I disassemble all this, and we'll get all these old chains and guides and everything off, and then we'll start going back together with it. Okay. You'll notice on this is the main front timing gear that gets driven off the crankshaft. It kind of has a shoulder, double shoulder on it that goes inside the jack shaft gear. And again, you'll notice, as I said before, there are no keys, no offsets or anything to lock this in. All you do is you take and line all the cams up with the setting tools, and then you just tighten all the bolts down, and the torque of the bolts is what holds everything. I myself, like I said, I'm going to be using some Loctite because I don't want this thing to jump time and bend valves again. Front timing gear comes off just like so. We're going to reuse these gears. So notice the flat side goes to the back. And in order to take the balance shaft gear off, you have to pull the key out, keyway. The only keyway in the whole darn engine here is on this crankshaft. Here's another tricky little bit that you won't find in any of your manuals, but you really want to check it, because if you don't, your engine's going to vibrate like crazy when you start it up. The 4-wheel drive versions, or all-wheel drive, have the balance shaft, and I described that in one of my earlier videos. Now, when the tensioners and the guides go bad, it's possible for the chain for this balance shaft to jump time as well. And in this case, the engine was indeed out of time on the balance shaft, so it's a good thing I checked that. Now, I was not able to find information for it in ALLDATA or the documentation that came with that toolkit. It showed you how to set the chains for the cams, but it doesn't say anything about the balance shaft. So I did some research online, and Jasper Engines put out a technical bulletin on how to set the balance shaft timing for these engines. And very, very, very useful little bit of information, because I was not able to find this information anywhere else. So what you're basically supposed to do is make sure your crankshaft is set at number 1 top dead center, and with the engine upside down, it's this piston here, top dead center. That would be looking down into the engine bay. That would be front passenger side. Forward's a little different, so one is up at the top. And what you have to do is you have to get these timing marks right here to line up on that little hole right there, and then the timing, this dimple here has to line up with the parting line for the cap. Now, they tell you it may take up to 7 revolutions of the timing, the balance shaft, to get it right, because there's apparently a slight difference in gear ratio. It's not quite a 1-to-1 here. So what we're going to do is we'll run it back around here and go to that and see where our mark is. That's wrong. Let's bring it back around again. That's wrong. And bring it back around again. What's that, 4 times? Alright, that's on the other side. Let's see. That's wrong. Is the picture in the thing that I found says shows it with the engine upside down like I have it. Okay, that's not quite right yet, so bring it around again. Do that. Hey, we're almost there. Bring that there, and look at that, dead on. Now you notice that other one, that other time I had it, it wasn't quite right. So it's easy to screw this up, and then you stick a 4mm pin in there to lock it in place, and then with the crank at number 1 top dead center, we'll put the new chain and tensioners in. One little thing I wanted to show you on here. This is the new chain. With the old chain, and it's going to be hard to visualize with the video here, but these end links, I don't know if I can show you this very well in the video or not, but these end links are actually bent out a little bit and damaged. And I believe that is from where that bolt came loose out of here and fell down in there and started getting tossed around. I think that's what did that. So it's always good to pay careful attention when you're working on stuff like this. Okay. Now what we're going to do in the next steps, we're going to remove the old cassette. Now this is the front timing chain set here. So we're going to remove that. This slides right out like so. Again, as I said, this is a whole heck of a lot easier when you got the engine out and completely apart. It's all garbage now. And again, notice there are no keys or no keyways or anything to lock that time in place. Just totally bizarre. I have no concept of how they do that. But they do it, so it takes a little bit more art than science to get this in here. Jiggling. Right before I go all the way in here, as I said, I have to cut these little tie straps off. Otherwise, the whole thing will just fall apart on you as you're working here. It goes in there just like so. All together, you have to undo this tie strap as well. Again, as I said, more art than science, really. Somewhere like that. Get it to loosen the chain up enough to where you can get this bolt in here that holds this set in place. Even with the bolt tight, it pivots. So I'm going to put another tie strap back on here, hold this all in place. For right now, I'm going to torque this back in. Again, make sure you do this stuff tight. You don't want to break the bolt, obviously. Tie strap, hold this together so that thing doesn't fall apart on me.